Yo!
Hello, I'm in class at the same time right now.
Oh god. Okay. I'll wait for everyone else.
You need to make an announcement. I wasn't finding any announcements for specifically today.
Okay, I'll do that right now. Where's Ethan at?
No idea.
Let me call him. What's up, James?
What's up, guys?
How's it going, man?
Hey, it's going well. How are you guys doing?
Great. Super excited for this.
Yeah, right on, right on.
This is gonna be awesome.
I definitely started in the ear CMS link from a long time ago. My bad.
I made it. People should be.
Hey, everybody.
We'll give it like 5-10 minutes before you start. Just wait for some people to hop in. Yeah.
Here we go.
Sure. Sounds good, man.
Let me add James as a co-host.
I told my professor about the event, the one that I have 3 times in a row today, and he put me on the spot. And I did a terrible job at telling people to come in to the event this weekend in my last class. So I just typed up like a whole ass thing that I'm ready to say for the next 2
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Elevator pitch or what?
Yeah, man. Like, you know, I hate when that happens. Like when I'm not ready and then I just do a terrible delivery. You know, this is such a cool event. We've got 82 signups right now from like 12 schools across the state. People from Mexico, Brazil, and then isn't there somebody from Russia, Ethan?
I perhaps, I'm sure.
Okay. I think there were some people from Russia that Dr. Chagas was bringing in. It's crazy.
Yeah, but by my count, we have almost 90 or so, right?
Yeah, we should be at 100 by the weekend, which is
Yeah.
was our goal. You know, we will have reached the goal.
It's a pretty good first run, though, man.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah, right. Not too bad.
We've been promoting for like a week and a half. It has not been that long. You know? So.
Your vibes are ready.
Here, Donna, here.
Yeah.
Where's everyone's beautiful faces at?
Yeah. Let's show James that we exist.
Yeah. Not a bunch of bots.
Estamos aquí.
Show me a reel.
Soy vivo.
More people coming in.
This is Chloe singing.
Oh, you're awesome.
Is it?
Chloe's awesome. Yep. Chloe's also one of our
Oh,
crossover music extraordinaires / video extraordinaires. Same with Santiago,
Awesome.
same with Kirsten.
Dang.
Let's go.
Y'all got talent over there, huh?
This is Kirsten. Kirsten Chloe wrote this.
Follow the Instagram, James?
Hmm?
You follow the Instagram, James?
I think so.
Yeah, the ears.
I think so.
All of that is Kirsten.
Chloe and Kirsten and Santiago and our social media crew. A pretty
Oh,
amazing
no way.
social media crew. Yeah, man. Chloe with the quick at right there. So we got Hannah and we got Andrew. We have some new people here: Valeria Cruz, Kaylee, and we have Liam, Jonathan. I remember you from at least yesterday. Aldrich, and Stella, and Ingrid. Good to see you guys. Good to see you. Nice. Also, if you guys need Spanish translation, the Ears Mexico Discord is providing live translation at once. Traducción en vivo al español en este Discord in la chat. Hey, I'm practicing my Spanish with them. We talk every day afterwards, and we get to practice nuestra español in nuestra casa, in el West Coast, in California. Ese es. Okay, calm down. Thank you. All right, here we go. We got about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We got 15, 5:35. I think we're okay. We can probably start pretty soon, especially now that we're recording. Hopefully maybe we'll trim a little bit. But I can go ahead and start with the overview presentation.
Yeah.
Just a reminder for everybody. After the course, of course. Hey, Sabrina. Oh, good. One of the video people I was really hoping would join too. That's good. Great student. Sabrina! Where's she at? Sabrina! Welcome. I'm glad that you're here, actually. You will benefit a lot from this, I think. Let's see here. And I'm going to open up our... I have a thing. There it is. Okay. Here we go. Sweet. Hey, everybody. We're going to start right about nowish. I got a little bit of overview to do before we let our guest speaker today, James Ramirez, take over, which I'm super excited about. Short story, James is a good friend, a collaborator for many years, and I'm always impressed with his work. As a matter of fact, my wife and I specifically requested him to do our wedding just because we knew how good he was from a long time ago, and he was the only thing that we had planned about our wedding before we planned our wedding. Because he's that good. We've made music videos together, we've made music together, we've made experiences together, we've worked on different types of things together. I think you guys are really going to enjoy having James being able to talk to you today about some video production stuff. So just as a reminder, we are in the Que Viva Mexico virtual transnational audiovisual songwriting camp. We are EOI Records and the EAR student group all together as a part of the Que Viva Mexico Transnational Film and Audiovisual Art Festival that's happening this weekend. If you remember a little bit about it, we are celebrating the fact that the movie from a long time ago by Sergio Einstein, or something like that, was rescored by CMAS's in Mexico's Rodrigo Segal, who is the leader of CMAS in Morelia, Mexico. And he has made a beautiful new score to this film, and we are celebrating it this weekend. There's many events that's happening this weekend. I think these are all going to go off right now. Yep, we're just gonna slow this down. But in the 3 days of the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we have on Friday the Que Viva Mexico screening. On Saturday, we have a telematic immersion concert with Professor Carrascova from University of Sao Paulo. And then on Sunday, we have the results of this songwriting camp that we're preparing for. All the works from Friday to Sunday are going to be premiered on Sunday at 6 p.m. That's the thing we're all building towards. And I'm super excited to have everybody be a part of this. Just a real quick, but today we're talking about the songwriting camp and our part of it. Your student group at EOI Records have teamed up to be able to do the first virtual transnational audiovisual songwriting camp. It's the first time we're doing an audiovisual songwriting camp, and I believe it's the first of its kind. It's definitely, we're the only ones doing virtual transnational songwriting camps, so I can probably safely say we're the first people to do a virtual transnational audiovisual songwriting camp. So as much as we already have a lot of experience here in the room, in this Zoom room already with doing songwriting and production and audio stuff, we wanted to make sure that you guys had a nice leg up on making sure that you had the most successful pieces being made by bolstering your knowledge of how to make stuff at home. We've been spending this whole time for almost a year helping you guys figure out how to make music from home, but now we're doing audiovisual. So it was, I called in a favor and had my homie James Ramirez come and help you guys get some really cool stuff for visual, to make sure that our visuals match the audio. For the new people that have just joined us today and are maybe excited or nervous about what a songwriting camp, it's a collection of people coming together, creatives, to make something new in a short period of time. And while yes, traditionally we've done this with only music, it is not what's it called? It's not isolated to music alone. We can do with music. You can make it with a writing camp, like writing novels, and you can make videos, making a big brainstorming session for visuals. Anything creative. In this case, we like to focus it with music, and that's definitely a huge base of what we do. Obviously, we can't be in person because of the pandemic, so we've moved to a virtual standing, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't work. Our friends here from the ENES and EARS have collaborated previously in the past, and it's been a fantastic experience collaborating even online with all of us together. So we're excited to repeat that once more again. And you can also check out the results of that songwriting camp on our EARS SoundCloud, specifically for the album that we made of pieces from that songwriting camp. It came out super cool, and I'm expecting the same type of level to come from this one as well. Just as a reminder for the schedule for this week, on Monday, we had my music production session, and that is posted in our Discord. So whenever you get a chance, if you want to check it out, check out the past two info sessions, mine on Monday and Jack's yesterday, who did a great business info session that helped us really understand what to do with stuff after we're done making stuff. After next week, when we have everything made and it's beautiful and it's wonderful and we're all hyped up on energy, what do we do with that afterwards? That's what Jack's session was. If you missed it, go check it out on Discord. We'll post a link to the YouTube in the Discord so you can go check it out, all the previous info sessions. Today, we're going with James Ramirez and video production, and it's going to be it's a huge content filled. I'm rushing through this as fast as possible so we can get to him. Try to stick around for as much as you can. We'll hopefully see if James can stick around and answer some questions after his presentation. But there will be a lot of great information for that today. And then tomorrow, we're going to meet back here, same link, same time, to be able to go through technology preparation to make sure that you guys are all ready with your digital audio workstations. Your Zoom is all set up correctly. You guys have the tools that we've been talking about this whole week to be able to prepare and make sure that you can hit the ground running on Friday when the camp begins. So on the screen right now, I have the what's called agenda for the weekend. Right now, we're meeting up at 2:30 on Friday at this link, and then we can prepare everybody, make sure we can get everybody on board, make sure to assign you in all of your groups, which will be announced tomorrow on Thursdays. And that will be our group up time before 3 o'clock sharp we start. 3 o'clock sharp we start, and you guys will have exactly 3 hours from 3 to 6 to start bringing down your ideas and making a demo and crafting as much as you can. And then we'll have a break to be able to watch the conference showcase of Que Viva Mexico, the movie premiere. It'll be a Vimeo thing. We'll explain it when it gets to that time. And then we'll all return back for a 7:30 showcase of what we make that day on Friday. It'll be really cool seeing the progression of all the works on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. At the end of every day, we have a showcase that we see what we made for that day. And then, of course, afterwards, there's an optional work time where you can come hang out with the rest of us as we're frantically scrambling to put stuff together. Saturday, of course, we have our office hours, and we'll explain more on that tomorrow during the tech prep. But you get to sign up with mentors such as myself. James will actually have a stand-in for that day, but somebody will be able to be around to help with video. 3 visual and 3 audio experts are coming in to be able to help you make the best out of your weekend and for those office hours. So make sure to sign up when you get those on Friday. And then, of course, we'll take a break for the telematic immersion event, and we'll come back and have a day 2 showcase and continue work time. And then Sunday, we'll have mastering all day, where me and the group from Edge Studios will be able to reach out to you and make sure we have the best mix possible so we can master it as best as possible so it sounds super professional right before you mix it back with your video. And then we have our big showcase at 6 p.m. that day. And then even before that, at 5 o'clock, right before our big 6 p.m. showcase and presentation, we will actually invite you all to be a part of a live jam session from wherever you are in the world, as we do the first transnational telematic live performance, where we get to use some of those cool tools that we've been talking about on Monday and that we'll talk about tomorrow to perform live with whatever you have at home. If you got an instrument, if you got a computer, you can plug in and join this like big musical network that we'll make and perform live. So a lot of stuff happening this weekend, but let's get you prepared for it. And let's go to James, who will now talk about who he is and what he'll show you today. So big round of applause for James.
Right.
Zoom reactions here.
Woo! All right. Thank you, Ethan. Okay. So I'm excited to be here with you guys. Let me see. Set this up. Excited to be here with you guys. I've kind of been in contact with Ian over the last few years and heard about the last couple band camps. And so now that it's transitioning into the visual side of things, and now it's even gone international, that's pretty exciting.
Heck yeah.
So in trying to prepare for this, I got a little presentation I'm going to throw up, and I'll kind of go through things. So here we go. Let's see. All right, we got our screen here. Cool. Okay, so I'll just start off with that. My name's James. I've been doing this for about 10 years. I started as a musician and I transitioned into video. I'm pretty much going to go through some key steps that I think would help you guys as you leave this meeting and go into the weekend and creating kind of the best visual content that you guys can get with what you own. At any point, you know, if there's questions, feel free to kind of speak up or interrupt me. The hardest part is kind of narrowing this down into digestible material. As we all know, there's so many elements that go into production, right? Audio making, video making. So I was really trying to narrow it down to how it applies to what we're doing here. So let's I'm gonna just kind of start off with a little intro of myself. So as I said, I've been doing this for 10 years. I worked in video, television, I've done photography, I've worked in audio production, as well as audio performance. I've worked in theater, marketing, even some web design. While I've always kind of been working through things, you know, this wasn't necessarily my initial path. I started off in music, as you can see. So music's definitely been my first love. As I went into college, I kind of got into journalism, and that's when I branched off into visual arts. But you know, more recently in my journey, I'm kind of coming full circle back to music, and it's exciting to be able to kind of contribute and almost tie the two skills, two different industries kind of into each other. So I wanted to start off with an example, some music that it's basically a music project that I worked on with Mr. Castro here. And what it was basically we created a set of kind of music videos, or like a music video series with a lot of local artists that we wanted to make kind of these unplugged kind of tiny desk kind of vibe. Ethan, I'm going to turn my sharing off here so Ethan can
Yeah, get a little
play the video
sample
for
here.
you. Yeah, a little sampler.
Ladies and gentlemen, Omar Nare.
Pero no fue suficiente. No estoy escuchando. Te odio tanto y todavía te amo. Doblas un arco y atraviesas con una flecha mi corazón. De mi pecho no fue suficiente. Te odio tanto y todavía te amo. Doblas un arco y atraviesas con una flecha mi corazón.
Yeah, isn't that dope? It's crazy.
I almost
Right.
applauded at the end.
It's been a long time since I've seen these. It looks really good.
So while that was definitely a little far-fetched and maybe like a little different in the direction that what you guys might be going with this weekend, there's definitely elements that apply in that situation and almost in like every other production scenario I've worked in. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys about in this session. So let me go ahead and share my screen again. All right, we good? We got my screen. So obviously, and especially this weekend, right? Time is a very important thing, right? And the more organized we can kind of be and the more that we can kind of utilize the time we have, is gonna determine the success of this project overall. And so, as I said, some of the, oh, I think my headset just died on me. Let's see. So I'm going to start off kind of by going through the different steps I think that will help you guys through this process. So I like to go through, and it's basically like organizing it. Then there's the creating aspect. We're going to come to assembling, and then a review of everything. I also included some other elements to support the idea, like, and kind of give you guys a better advantage in just this project, as well as moving forward, which, as you can see, are kind of cinematography and different elements of cinematography, storytelling, lighting, editing, details, and then lastly, creativity. Obviously, creativity kind of falls into everything, but I'll go into more specifics here. Let's see. So organizing.
I love that photo.
I start with this picture just as a really cool example of the importance of organization. If you look on the left, you can see me sitting in with fellow crew members on a shoot that I worked on. I would have loved this to be my shoot, but unfortunately it wasn't. But just working in the atmosphere was pretty cool. So the image on the right is pretty much the image that was produced from this kind of test shot on the left. Now, it looks like all these dudes are in the same room, right? We all kind of know who these guys are. But in reality, we had 5 minutes with each person individually, and none of them were shot in the same time. This was kind of like on a movie release. And as they're coming down the red carpet, the guy that I was working for had built this little photo studio and was hoping that all 5 of these guys would come strolling in. And in order to get a picture of all of them together, he had to basically plan it all out ahead of time in order to capture it. If, for instance, we had that 5 minutes, right? So on the left, you can kind of see all the tape marks, and you can kind of, we all have our positions. Anyway, it just kind of wanted to, I think that was like an aha moment for me that made me realize, like, pre-production and the amount of planning that goes into creating something in a visual sense is basically going to always be more than the actual production itself, in a sense, right? So anyway, that's I like the photo, and I just wanted to kind of include that. So let's move in.
Yeah, guys, I'm telling you,
Y'all
it's a real deal,
y'all
man.
can hear me still well?
Yeah, they're blowing up the chat over here.
There we go. My
Can you hear us?
headphones cut
Test
out right
1,
in the
2,
middle
test
of
1,
my
2.
little thing here.
Test
But all
1.
right.
You good?
So organizing, right? So come this weekend, you get grouped up with other people that you may have met, other people you may have not met, but you got to figure out how to, use the 72 hours the best that you can. So kind of once you get into the groups, I mean, I think obviously there's roles, but maybe trying to delegate roles to people and playing to their strengths, right? Maybe somebody's better with camera work, somebody's better with editing, maybe somebody's better at the audio part. I mean, come up with a diplomatic way to kind of structure that so that everybody can kind of focus on a specific role and everybody's utilizing their skills to the fullest. I guess story is a very key part of visual art, right? The more that you can relate to your audience, or the more that they can pick up on like a plot or a theme, the more they can relate to it. Just like in music, right? The more that a theme kind of repeats itself, the more that there's a hook, the more that they play the chorus, the catchier it is, the easier it is. People are gonna stick to that, and they're gonna be able to relate and kind of make your product more desirable. So again, number 4 is kind of an OCD thing, but like I said, over time I've realized, being more OCD is a little bit better than being less, just because you can always kind of whittle back, all your options or all your choices creatively. Whereas on the reverse, if you're limited on time and you're, in a rush and you're trying to come up with content, sometimes you're not going to create the best stuff that you could. So anyway, so one key thing that I like I said, that I like is, Pinterest, or, Google's another option. But these are basically elements to, again, create a mood board for your project. And they can also be used to kind of translate the idea through the entire group, right? We know the more people we have in a group, the harder it is to kind of have a centralized idea, unless you have very, something specific that you guys are all kind of aiming for.
Mm-hmm.
So come up with a mood board and, have it kind of play towards the audio element that you guys create, or the audio, piece that you're working with.
James, do you have
Like
an
I said,
example
the more
of
that it can kind of match what the audio is doing, the more that the audience can kind of draw relation to it, and you can kind of create a feel or a mood for the entire project. And number 5, of course, again, storyboarding. I don't know, do you guys have, I mean, does anybody have any experience in storyboarding or like this kind of process? Do you guys do the same thing for
check one,
audio
two,
as
check
well?
one,
Or?
two. Yeah. Can you hear us, James?
It's a little pretty, let me see. Let me swap over to.
Or just change your speaker output, and it should change it too. But yeah, anybody got an example of a mood board you can link in there? I got one for my, I put it on secret though. Nice. Test 1, 2, James, can you hear us? He is connecting.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yep. Can you hear us?
Okay, cool. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Feel free to keep your mic on the other one, but that's good too. Yeah, I was gonna ask, do you have an example of a mood board or storyboard that's a publicly available one? Or
yeah, I can.
there also
Yeah.
might be available.
Let me pull one up real quick.
All of mine are locked.
So, I mean, so pretty much every shoot that I kind of go through, I'll create a board. I have way too many boards, but
Oh my gosh.
my most recent is in kind of like in doing headshots and stuff. And so here I went and I pulled up a bunch of kind of professional kind of style headshots. I even got some groups because there were a few people I was, I had like three or more people. So basically, once I kind of create this, as I go out into the field, I have these images that I can, say if I come to a point where I don't know what I want to shoot next, or I'm with someone, I'm with, the subject, and they're, they don't know how to pose or something like that, I can kind of, luckily can pull out the phone and basically go right to the visual board, and we can kind of come up with a concept. I'll take you like to another, let's see, more like themed or like kind of a classical kind of feel, right? Or these,
Oh wow.
say you're doing something stylized, right?
Mhm.
Well, like I said, you have your story or you have your theme that you're working with. You start building your board, and so like, so we come across all the ideas, and they kind of give us a starting point. And that's really kind of the means or the aim of the mood board, is that this is just kind of like a home base that everybody can kind of revert back to, but obviously we can kind of deviate from that and add our own creative elements to it. I think the other important thing too is that in any setting, when you're trying to convey a creative idea to somebody, 9 out of 10 times people don't understand the end result, right? They're going to have an idea. They're going to, oh, sure, we can do, vintage glamour with, maybe a smoky background or whatever. But if, their idea of it is totally going to be different than what you might have in mind. So just kind of having a visual reference is just going to make make the whole process a lot easier as far as kind of communication.
Yeah.
So let's see. So aside, I think I skipped number 3, but another great kind of thing as far as in the planning stage is kind of like thinking about locations, interesting looking locations, or sometimes run down, or it just, again, it all kind of comes back to like the theme of what your video is going to be about. I include links. I kind of have some links to like stock photos and stock video, and what I mean by that is, maybe that your visual piece, maybe the concept that you're dreaming up, you necessarily can't go out and film yourself. So there's a lot of free sites nowadays where you can kind of pull reference pictures, or you can even pull reference, stock video that's free and royalty free that you can kind of include into your own, movie making. And let's see. So we went through storyboard.
Yeah.
And again, these are kind of applied, I think, to maybe larger shoots, but again, maybe, down the road, this is something you guys start kind of branching in towards as far as, logistics, right? Say you are going to shoot something with a subject, with a model, with a band. Sometimes things to think about are like your makeup artists or hair, or, lighting, what time of day. Again, back to logistics of, what you guys are trying to create and the time the time of day that you're kind of shooting at. Let's see. And so kind of once we've gone through all those, the organizing and the storyboarding and the shot sheet, the last thing is kind of to schedule out your shoot to some extent, right? If you have 5-6 hours to shoot, kind of, include your shots in that time frame and break them down, right? Or is it going to be maybe 15-20 minutes for your first kind of setup, and then maybe 10 minutes to relocate and then set up somewhere else? Or, the more that you can kind of break it down, the more you kind of have a roadmap that you're sticking to when working under like a deadline like this. And then with the scheduling, it kind of gives you a sense of how much time extra you might have if you have to kind of make corrections, or if something goes wrong. Plan for things to go wrong, because they 9 out of 10 times will, right? Creative elements that can kind of help make your picture better. Like I said, as I mentioned in the beginning, plot and a storyline is really going to help your audience invest their attention into what you're trying to create, right? Sometimes, like given like with psychedelic kind of effects, you can kind of break off of a storyline, so to speak. It can be a little more abstract, a little more absurd, but if anything, the most well-known pieces are things with a theme or with a story, so and so. Number 2, visual story. This is when we kind of get into camera techniques and some of the more artsy uses of your video, which I'll go into on our next section. Lighting, of course, lighting can be as tricky and technical as mixing and mastering, right? But even just the basic fundamentals are going to help you out, and those I'll go into a little more in depth. Again, location is always something that helps kind of sell the idea, whether it's like a rundown house, or place just right after dusk, or who knows, your room with a green screen, right? You can definitely up your production value with a good looking background and location. And lastly is editing. Good editing can make or break the project. I put, don't include anything that's not necessary. Don't use your best shots. Don't necessarily, add things just to kind of fill space if you don't have to. make it very selective and very intended, you know. All right, so into our camera techniques.
Woo.
So I'm gonna go through a few just kind of styles of shooting. I'm also including a couple links. And by the way, I'm gonna make this available for everybody so that as you guys are working and you know, if perhaps you need references or examples, you'll have
Please and thank you.
you'll have these links available to you during the process. All right, so let's break down some camera shots. So, you know, the first and most basic one is, they call it static, and this is pretty much on a tripod. You know, the action is happening in front of you. And with the tripod, you know, sometimes there's kind of a pan to one way or another, or a tilt up and down. But for the most part, you know, it's pretty much locked off. Our second one, actually, should we go into now? We don't need to go into tripod here. But so I included, I mean, again, I'm not exactly sure what everyone's working with here. So I included a couple links that, you know, if you don't have a tripod, or, you know, there's little hacks for getting a similar kind of shot without an actual tripod. If at any point anybody wants me to, you know, click on these links or go through them, let me know.
Please,
but
please,
otherwise,
please. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Dolly one's insane, but I want to see the other ones. I haven't checked out the other ones yet.
Okay. Well, let's
It's like one of those like who would have thought to do this? Except for people obsessing over trying to do stuff. So this is how to make a tripod?
This is hacks to, you know, if you don't have a tripod, getting around it to get a stable shot or getting kind of movement shots. How's the audio?
No audio, and it's the choppy frames, but oh my God, that looks so cool. Under the more menu, you can also hit the share audio.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy. No way. You're kidding me. What the heck? From a solo cup? It's the same size?
Yeah, that tripped me out.
And it's a
What's up,
light
guys?
source.
If you liked the video, hit that like button down below. If you're new here, I would be honored if you would subscribe to my channel.
Right. So some of these are definitely, you know, a little maybe tackier than others, but again, the cool thing with video is, you know, it doesn't matter how you get the shot. If you get it, you know, people are going to love it. So let's see, I can show you, if we could go in for, I think these are more the same for the phone.
Oh, this is good. I think, yeah, at least most of us hopefully got a smartphone with the camera.
Yeah. I mean, do you guys know what are most of you guys shooting on, or do you know what people are mostly shooting on for these projects, or is it mostly phone, or do people have DSLRs? Or I'm gonna call on you, Chloe.
Yeah. She
You're
already
the
had
only one
that.
I can see.
I shoot
Who
on my
is,
phone.
Okay. So mostly phone is what it seems like most of these projects will be done on, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Put in the chat if you got a different type of camera.
Oh, there you go.
How do you do the rack focusing with whatever we got? What's that DIY rack focus thing?
Well, you know, the rack focus, again, it kind of applies to...
When it comes to camera movements and angles, you have a lot of choices. The way you choose to move
applies mostly to DSLRs, but you can kind of get the same effect with your phone.
The possibilities
if
are endless.
for those of you who
We're
don't
here to
necessarily
break
know
down
what
these
rack
cinematic
focus is,
techniques one at a time.
it's kind of like when you
Welcome to
have
No Film School.
an object in
Before we
front
begin,
and then an
be
object
sure
kind
to
of in the
like and subscribe to
distance,
stay
and the
up to
object in
date on this
front is
ongoing
in
series.
focus.
With this episode, we are
And
going to
and then from the then the focus changes from the object in the front to the back, and it's more of a creative effect, but it it could be used really cool, as they're kind of showing on the screen here.
film sets, this is done by the first assistant camera operator. But when crew and gear is limited, you can easily pull off this technique yourself as long as you have a lens that can be manually adjusted for focus. To better understand racking focus, we need to first discuss the concepts of aperture and depth of field. Aperture refers to the opening of a lens's diaphragm, which allows the passing of light and is measured.
So I'm just gonna stop. I'm gonna stop just because, for time's sake, if anything. But yeah, and so in order to do it with your phone, you would, if you pull out your video, let's pull out our phones. How about that?
Hey, first class, so we're asked to pull out the phones. Okay.
Right.
I'm with you.
Okay. So on my screen sharing, you guys can't necessarily see me, right?
Right.
Stop the share for now.
If you plug in your phone, you can use it as a source.
Okay. Okay, so we take our phones, we take we'll say soda cup or cup on, or whatever we have, something, we're gonna set it on our desk here. Do this little, right? And so from here, we're gonna take the phone, and I'm sure you guys are aware how, like, if you tap on your phone, it focuses on an image, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I have two objects here, kind of lined up, don't really have a good display spot. If you line the two up in your viewfinder here, and you tap on one, we'll say we'll tap on the closest object. Obviously that's in focus, but then and this would be while you're rolling video too, right? So say you have a shot where you want it to go from the thing in near ground in focus to in the background.
Mm-hmm.
You would set your shot up. You'd start it with your nearest object in focus. And then as you're rolling, you would basically just tap the object in the rear to have it focus, shift its focus back. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely not very well.
As I say, we can do we can do a little a demo if you want. Let me see if I can try to replicate your setup real quick.
Sure.
I will use one piece of tech versus another. But let's see here.
Yeah.
So direct me through this. Here we go. That's what I'm seeing on my screen. And so I'm going to put something in the foreground and something in the background. Yeah. Like, let's say that duster versus these headphones. Oops. There we go. So let's say I put the light over there, and I want to try to focus on these guys in the front. So I click there, and then I click on the guy in the back. It's pretty slow.
So now let's try that in video mode. So if you go to video mode, go ahead and start a video. So there you go.
Sexy.
And then back to it.
Looks like it works better going to near ground. It kind of snaps to background.
Right. So definitely play with it a little bit, and then again, yeah, sometimes one might work better than the other, and in that case, you can always reverse. You can kind of reverse the effect in editing, in Premiere or whatnot.
Yeah, that looks clean.
Not too shabby, and especially with the new phones, right? or think, you know, they can shoot the higher quality. I'm going to include.
Oh, that's cool. Conception.
Artsy, right?
Super artsy.
Yeah.
Artsy.
So yeah, rack focus. Make sense to everyone out there? Somewhat?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Good creative tool.
All right. I'm going to take back the screen here. So we got the rack focus, right? Another one is handheld, which, you know, the name basically implies. Let's see. Let's check this one out.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. My name is Dean Tucker, and today I'm going to be showing you 5 ways to stabilize your foot.
This also might apply to...
so that your neck acts as a third anchor point with your 2 hands for stabilization. Then you can just pull the camera tightly, move around, and get some super smooth shots. Just a quick pro tip, the shorter you have the strap.
So this definitely is probably for DSLR again. So I apologize. But I will see if I can find you guys a phone.
No, it's all
phone
good.
link for that.
I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
we can. I guess holding it's kind of like a Steadicam emulator, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. And so, I mean, if you're doing handheld stuff with the phone, and even with the camera, a good idea is that if you bring your arms in and kind of crouched, not crouched, but the closer you bring them in and the more you can kind of position your arm against the body here, the more it's almost like you can you're locking it in. Whereas the more extended you are, the more you're going to kind of jiggle, or you'll feel the movement.
Interesting.
Another kind of trick, or actually like another tip is, if you're doing handheld stuff and you're moving around, it's better to be at a wide angle as opposed to like if you zoom in. The trouble is like if you zoom in but you're hand holding, you're going to see the shake a lot more. So the wider that you can stay, the smoother your shot's going to be.
So would you advise like trying to do stuff wide angle and zoom in kind of afterwards, maybe with some image stabilization in software?
I mean, you can. I would definitely say try a couple ways, right? Like if your phone shoots 4K, 4K is kind of a nice thing that it shoots a bigger resolution than your computer screen, or most of our screens hold, right?
Mm-hmm.
So most of our screens are at the HD, which is like 1920 by 1080. 4K gives you like a bigger picture. So what's nice is that you can zoom in without cropping your image and losing quality. And it's almost like it's basically like the equivalent of, like, say you have a WAV file and you're converting it into an MP3, but you're not going to lose quality, as opposed to like if you recorded in an MP3 and then reprocess it as another MP3, you're going to basically lose quality and it's going to come out a little bit distorted, right?
Yeah.
So the same thing happens with video. Shooting at a 4K gives you a little more to work with. All right, so we'll jump back in.
So I think you're still in the video.
Oh.
There we go. Okay.
Right. So again, another dolly technique that's another technique where basically people have like a track set down and the camera's kind of mounted to it. You can recreate this with like a skateboard, or you could sit in a rolling chair, and like have people pull you. That like pretty stable. You could be in a car kind of driving next to someone. What else?
Safely.
Safely, of course.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There's even like little methods of you know, if you're going to do some sliding, kind of like a sliding movement, you could basically have your hands kind of set on the table so it's not moving up and down or left and right. Essentially with this shot, you're trying to keep the camera as stable as it is while it's kind of doing a horizontal movement across whatever you're trying to film.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I didn't even think about that. Just kind of.
What's that?
That's crazy.
What's using those kind of techniques?
Yeah, just sliding across with a blanket. Yeah. Amelia says with the blanket you can
right.
slide
Yeah.
across the dish still. Yeah. Dish towel sliding. There's Chloe with the
right
hacks.
See. Let's see.
Camera on a
aerial
lamp on
shots.
a chair.
Yeah, that one was pretty. That was impressive.
So
though,
how do you
matched
shoot
up.
epic-looking drone shots without
this one
a
I'm
drone?
a fan. I like
maybe you can't afford a drone, or even if you can, maybe you're in a no-fly zone, or maybe it's just too unsafe
Drone
to fly
shots.
one above people's heads. Whatever your reason, this is a really easy technique. Now you're only going to need 3 things to pull this off. Number 1, a smartphone. Number 2, a smartphone gimbal. And number 3, a light stand. Okay, so this technique is really simple. We're just going to take our light stand, then we're going to take our smartphone gimbal, and we're going to screw it to the top of our light stand like this. We're then going to take our smartphone and we're going to attach it to our gimbal like this. And that's it. Balance your gimbal and you're good to go. So how does it work?
So obviously,
so cool.
This guy has he's got the gear for it. That actually wasn't the video I was looking to include, but what I've seen is some guys using kind of, what's that?
Even without a gimbal, I mean, I suppose it would still work. It's got to be real careful.
Right, like some of these guys are kind of using, and I'll switch the link, but you know, basically the light he's using is light stand, or I've seen people use like painter's pole or a really long stick, or it's kind of crazy. But like I said, you can literally like tape your phone or rig it up and then use this like large pole to kind of go up and get these motions to kind of give you an aerial kind of look. And it sounds dumb, but again, some of these shots, if you're thinking about it, they're only like a few seconds of just that kind of push into your location or your subject or something like that, and you can kind of have that same feel of like a bird's eye view kind of thing. If that makes sense.
Emilia just brought up a really cool option for an aerial shot. Just tossing your phone up in the air and then on slow-mo.
Right.
It'd be a chaotic, but I'm actually going to try to do that.
Yeah, I would be, you know, make sure you have a soft landing or a OtterBox or a hard case or something. All right. So our next one's underwater. Again, these are all just kind of like wild, off the wall kind of shots that you can get, but green screen, again, it's gonna, I feel like that one definitely takes more time, but you know, some people enjoy using green screen. Time lapse is another effective one that your phone's good with. Slow motion, of course. And the last one I kind of like, which is using Instagram or TikTok filters as kind of creating video. Now I found like, obviously we can add the filters and presets in, you know, editing and in post, but some of the filters and stuff they have is like actually pretty cool. And maybe you want that element or that look in your video. You can, you know, again, you can shoot the scene using those apps, and then
you want to share your screen again just to make sure we're following along.
Oh yeah. You don't like looking at me talk?
I do, but I feel like it's not serving me in this one. We're serving information, not just me.
There we go. Sorry. Right, green screen, time lapse, slow mo, Instagram or TikTok filters. Some of those, they've come up with some really cool ones, right? And they're very stylized. They have like kind of like a film look. They've got, you know, a cinematic kind of look. And so sometimes, again, rather than having to do that in in Adobe Premiere or in the post process, you know, sometimes you can shoot those in those programs and then download the video to use, you know, in your final product. I'd say if you're gonna do that, make sure you shoot a version without it, and then maybe shoot a version with it, so that you at least have something to, you know, an original to kind of come back to, and you're not out of luck. Lighting's a tricky one. Lighting definitely, we could spend a whole week on lighting, right? But just to kind of break it down and apply it to what you guys might be using. Types of lighting. There's natural light, which is obviously from the sun. Other sources are maybe like from a fire or lightning, who knows? I mean, that's really limited, but most of it is basically from the sun, right? And then artificial, which is anything that has a light bulb in it. That's basically,
are there some examples?
Photography, strobe, video, yeah.
I'm not sure what I don't think the sharing took, so I'm not sure if you're showing some examples or not.
Oh, no. Let's see. Good examples, who knows? Actually went hard versus soft, huh?
Yes, be careful if you're using fire as your lighting source. Looks like we have a couple of pyrotechnics in the group, and I just want to make it very clear that we do not condone you using fire as an arson-based approach to lighting. Thank you.
And it also doesn't really give off a lot of light, depending on how hot your fire is. Not that I know.
This is not permission.
No. You know what? No, I don't have any examples ready right now. But yeah, so artificial is basically anything that has a light bulb in it, and natural is anything that is the sun, pretty much. Sun, fire, just natural sources of light. So with each of those comes what we call color temperature. And what that means is that some light looks a lot warmer than others, and then some light looks a lot cooler than others. So the two main ones are basically orange, like really orange lights, which you get from, you know, like a tungsten light bulb or from the sun, versus kind of colder lights, which you get colder temperature lights, which you get from like LEDs or fluorescence, other lights like that. So it's good to kind of keep in mind what you're working with when you're kind of mixing and matching those. Let's see. The next is basically hard light versus soft light, and that those examples. So hard light is basically when a light source hits an object directly without anything in between it. This creates hard shadows. Sometimes it's kind of unflattering, and sometimes it's kind of like a style. So we'll kind of go with this one here, where you can kind of see on the left, this gal has pretty hard shadows on the right side of her face. You can see these kind of shadows under the nose, which are pretty unflattering depending on like what the subject is and what you're shooting. Here on this side, on the right, you basically almost have like zero shadows, a lot more flattering of lighting. This comes back to, you know, basically your style that you're shooting. If you have, you know, a very beautiful kind of subject and you want them to look, you know, flattering, you're going to try to soften the light the best that you can. So how do we do that is by using basically a softbox, they call it, or like using
How you make it?
diffusers.
So how does one go?
I'm guessing.
And so basically a diffuser is like a thin kind of sheet or thin kind of silk layer that people put in front of a light source in the hopes of, you know, softening it down. As the light passes through it, it's kind of broken up and,
Sheet.
you know, just basically gives you a softer light source. Oh, say that again.
It's a sheet. He just uses a sheet. Paper.
Yeah. Sorry. Like my audio over here is. Let's see. Yeah. So people can use a sheet. There's like, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like see-through, they have these like see-through umbrellas that people use. Sky's the limit. And let's see.
Wow.
So another way of kind of achieving soft light. What's that? No.
Yeah, it looks like you just let's go. So it looks like you put the hard lights, or if you have lights or lamps or whatever, you put them around, and then you kind of put the diffusers right around your subject in order to kind of diffuse it right at the point or something.
Yeah, you kind of you want to have it basically to. You want to have it kind of close to your light source, so they'd almost put like something, you know, like a sheet or something almost as close and in front of the light as you can, and then basically all the light that spills off is going to become softer as it hits your subject. For the life of me, keep losing all my. Anyway. Does that make sense? Soft light, hard light. Yeah. Trying to figure out why I can't see you guys. I keep losing you guys as I go
Sure.
to.
Oh, you might have to. Did you see the little window of either you or us? There's like a way you can change the little window, the floating window between just you and then the list, and then you can see everybody when you do the thing. You see us now?
View. Yes.
Yeah, when you do together, and then when you screen share, it goes into a very small window on one of your displays. So it might have jumped to your other display if you do that too.
Gotcha. All right. But anyway, what I say here: hard light, soft light. If you're using a subject, make sure that you use something to diffuse with. Colored lighting. Colored lighting is one of my favorites because it definitely helps with mood. It helps with, just the ambiance, kind of telling the story. I don't know if you guys will have access to colored lights, but I put what do you call it?
Yeah, if we don't.
If we don't, there's not too much to do as far as like a free version of this. So one thing you can do is, like, if you're looking for a very, kind of orange effect, you can wait till like later in the day, closer to sunset. It's going to give you a really orange kind of dreamy kind of vibe. If you're looking for like a colder effect, midday inside or even after the sun goes down is going to give you kind of the colder kind of vibe.
Some people are suggesting in the chat that you can use cellophane or colored paper if you might have it lying around.
There you go.
Parents have it lying around for wrapping some gifts in cellophane, maybe.
There you go. Let's see. Yeah. And then again, using the sun is kind of my last point, where that's going to be our best, cheapest option for doing as filmmakers. So again, kind of understanding like hard versus soft, using shadows sometimes when I shoot outdoors with people, and if it's midday and I don't necessarily have a light, sometimes what I'll do is I'll basically put them in the shadow so that they won't have these kind of, ugly looking kind of harsh shadows sometimes coming on, that are on their face.
Yeah.
As I'm doing that as well, I'll kind of try to keep in mind in my, what my background looks like as well. If I have someone in the shade, and my background's in the sun, what happens is your background ends up just being extremely, super bright. Sometimes if it's too bright, you're going to lose, detail in the background in order to expose for your, for your subject in the foreground. So if you can kind of match it up, I guess is the point that I'm trying to make, is that, if you have someone in the shade, try to match up your background with, something that is also either in the shade or kind of partially in the shade. If they're in the, again, if they're in the sun, trying to match them up where the background is either in the sun or, if you're going for the vibe where you want the background to look really dark and kind of dramatic, you can have that in the shade as well. Have that in the shade and them in the sun.
A question overall, how important is lighting to the end result of a video? Because, I can imagine some people say, hey, we have, less than 72 hours or probably less than 48 hours. Why do I need to focus on lighting? I could imagine.
Right. Well, you know what, again, because you're moving so fast and you guys aren't necessarily, well, I guess some of you are, right? Camera oriented or camera specific, elements like that just basically help tell your story a little bit better. They can definitely create the mood. They can definitely, make your subject more flattering, more attractive. Just overall, it helps in the whole storytelling process. I guess in an essence, it's almost like if you had, you had really great video, but your audio quality was not, if you didn't pay so much attention to your audio, the overall video is not going to come across too great just because of those little details where, you see something or you hear something of a certain quality, but then if you're looking at it and it doesn't really match up, something in our brain kind of tells us that, something's off or something's not quite right, or it's just
it could possibly make or break a video, like a really effective video, or the difference between something that's maybe not quite as effective.
Yeah, exactly. As well as just, again, the people who are in the video or the elements in the video, they might not come across exactly the way that you're hoping with the wrong kind of lighting type thing.
Yeah.
And lastly, with the sun is kind of just the concept of the golden hour and the blue hour. Golden hour is pretty much an hour before before sunset or 1 hour after sunset. And this is like basically your best light, it's the softest, kind of most dreamiest, most flattering if it hits your subject and you're using it as a light source. The closer it gets towards like the middle of the day is when you kind of get the sun overhead, more harsh shadows, just kind of really hard to work with or not so appealing visually. And blue hour, again, that's an hour after sunset, and that's where your sky starts to become, blue and have the magentas and the purples in it. And just kind of has a really cool effect and really looks good. Like if you're using, like silhouettes or, basically silhouettes against the skyline, or if you have clouds, it looks really, really dreamy and gives you kind of that colder color temperature we were kind of talking about.
I see. Oh, that's what that is.
Moving on. What's that? Blue hour?
Yeah, I didn't know what the blue hour was.
Yeah. So go back to sharing. All right. Oh, so I kind of breezed through a lot of those that last section. I don't know if there were any questions through it all. Again, that was like pretty much a ton of content. But again, those are all like little elements that all go into when you're kind of planning out your shot sheet, your storyboard. All those little elements kind of come into play just to adding that visual quality to your video.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, organizations, is the first part. So on to our next section, which is basically the production. Now that you've prepped it all, you're going to go out and you're going to shoot it, right? So you're going to execute your storyboard. You're kind of going to stick to what you guys have already worked out. I put in there, be a hype queen above all.
Hype queen.
And when working in group projects like this, exactly. No one wants to work with someone who's mopey or who's kind of hard to get along with. And encouragement and good communication definitely go a long way in any of this, right? So kind of keep that shit up. Avoid too many chefs in the kitchen if you can. I mean, I think there's like 5 per group, but this in essence is kind of like, again, kind of delegate somebody to almost be the director of the whole project that you guys trust, so that, if kind of executive decisions come along, there's not 5 people all kind of chiming in and kind of, distorting, almost, I guess, kind of taking up time, right? Basically find a creative, effective way to collaborate so that you guys can kind of keep moving forward without getting hung up on smaller details. Number 4, be prepared for things to change as they always do, and again, that's when, the organization and the shot sheet and everything kind of as much to a T as you can really helps out, because then, if things do fluctuate, you at least still kind of have that home base to kind of come back to and kind of keep yourself in check with. And as you're moving along, again, another one is that, maybe kind of trying to keep track of like your best cuts or the best takes. Sometimes people shoot, well, I guess that I should add that point too, is shoot more than one take. Give yourself at least 2 to 3 shots of the same thing, just so, sometimes you'll think you have the right one and you go to editing room and you find out, you guys didn't end up executing it the way that you really thought. And then you're already deep into the 72 hours and there's no, making up for it. So then as you're doing that, kind of keeping track of which ones, you like the best is just going to save you time down the road as you're editing. Time to assemble.
Woo!
So this will probably be most of your guys' experience in the with this project, and that'll be like in editing, right? Again, if you can kind of narrow this down to maybe the editor and one other person, or kind of limiting the people working on the project, it will kind of help you guys maintain that story direction. Sometimes you get so many people in there and everybody's got an idea of what they want their version to look like, but it's kind of trying to find that cohesive way to make it work for the team and move forward, per project, for the project. So number 1, I include what's necessary. Kind of be selective with what your shots are, be selective with your storytelling. Too much fluff can sometimes lose people's interest in the end result. Use shots that add to the story, right? Number 2, edit to your music. Make sure your cuts, basically cut on the beat is what I like to say. If you cut off of the beat, maybe make sure that it's intentional.
Actually, interesting about the cutting to the music. One of the big themes of the audiovisual experience that I know that the director of the the whole conference, Dr. Chagas, he actually wrote about intentionally cutting off of the beat, or doing things that have nothing to do with the visual. And there's like a contrast versus complementary editing. And the contrast seems so difficult because it's so counterintuitive to the way we function as human beings. But like a lot of the stuff, even I think Que Viva Mexico,
Right.
the actual screening will have examples of like contrasting editing. It's so disorienting, but it's hella effective sometimes.
Right. Again, yeah. Elements that you could definitely, there are rules that you can break, right? I guess just like in music, playing outside of the key, adding dissonance where you want to build tension, right? And it's the same thing with video. It's I guess it's just understanding like what kind of feeling are you wanting to create, and then how can you add elements like that, right? Again, are you trying to make people anxious, have them sitting on the edge of their seat? Are you trying to build a suspenseful moment, or are you trying to kind of create harmony in that sense, right? So I think, yeah, in editing, look at it almost just like you would with music, whereas there's the the build up and then the release.
That's a good point,
so to speak.
Hella good one. Edit like
and again, I think I yeah, along with cuts, I think, kind of paying attention to your fades in between the videos, or even when you start your video and you end it, there's a difference between like a hard cut where you're just going to jump from one shot to the next, or if you're going to have kind of a transition fade that will kind of, lead you from one into the next. It just kind of, again, comes back to your plot and your theme and kind of the pacing of the project and how you want it, to come across to your audience. Number 3 was kind of creativity and using different editing techniques to make to add to your project. I'll get into that on the next page. And again, I come back to beginning and ending, right? Make sure it starts strong and finishes strong. Give it a good fade in and then a fade out. Don't come in with just a hard cut to come in and then a fade out or whatnot. Just the little details that, again, add to the whole experience of creation. So assembly continued, and editing with some creative examples. I am going to kind of just breeze through these again. We can kind of look at some of these.
Those first.
So number 1 is using. What's that?
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, the first 2 look like something that I think.
Oh, number 1. Think that I should pull up examples.
Oh no, sorry. I'm just interested in those.
Well, I'll do it.
A little bit of a delay. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
Well, I'll. So one again, like I think is cool, and this kind of comes with maybe if you're using 2 different visuals over the top of each other, they have this what it's called blend mode, and basically in your layers you can choose different. It's kind of got one on the screen right here. There's different layers and different ways of applying each layer that gives it a kind of like a different artsy look for each one. This can be effective if you guys are kind of going along like I said, a more psychedelic kind of artsy kind of vibe where you're going to have 2 images overlaying each other just to kind of give that dreamy effect, or maybe you're going to have 2 faces overlaying each other. You can play with the blend modes and basically add that extra element of kind of creativity and just visual appeal. I don't know if this example gives the best version, but as you can kind of see, he has this layer that's basically kind of superimposed over the top. It's not the most visually appealing, but again, you can kind of get artsy with it. And if your images are very similar, or one has most of the content on the left and another one most on the right, you can kind of interchange them into creating something that you're after. Speed ramping is just the name of the process that people use for slow motion. We've all seen slow motion and it working and stuff, but what speed ramping allows you to do is that you kind of select, you're very particular and you select what moment you want in slow motion. So I'm sure we've all seen, you know, the videos of people working normal speed, and as they go to do something, it slows down like, you know, super, super slow. So I included a link there, but it kind of talks you through about, you know, doing that in Premiere and utilizing that for your video, right? Making sure to really highlight the moments, you know, those, because it's like when things are slowed down, you definitely get this, you know, dream state kind of surreal suspension of belief kind of thing. As you're watching them move, you know, super slow and then speed back up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a good tool that you can use when editing. Number 3 is kind of utilizing the presets that exist in your program. I'm working on Premiere Pro, but, you know, I'm sure whatever video editing software you guys are using, they're definitely going to have some presets already available that you can just drag and drop right on top of your layers clips to give it a good visual kind of makeover.
Presets as in like the effect presets, or presets as in like software presets from the editing software?
Well, they're pretty much,
I guess on both.
They are presets that exist. Shoot. Well, say that one more time. Sorry.
No, yeah, I was just asking specifically for presets within like specific effects, or just kind of presets in general.
Shoot. My audio is messing up on me.
Check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2.
Okay, there we go.
Ken James here. All good?
Sorry about that.
All good, all good. Just asking what you meant by the presets.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. So I'm gonna see if I can just gonna see if I can pull up my Premiere version. But pretty much, so it's like, they call them presets, but they're really, it's almost like a post effect, and they're like filters that you use when you're just editing your video, you know. And some of them come with kind of artsier ones, and other ones you kind of have to basically bring out.
You really tweak to get something good. Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. So I think we could still see my screen here, right?
Yeah, all good.
Right. So like in this program, they basically have a little section over here that has audio effects you can apply, video effects. And then as we scroll through, it's got a bunch of different, like a bunch of different ones. There's like color correction one.
We're only seeing the Google Chrome, not the whole screen.
Right. Sorry about that.
You do a new share, yeah. There we go. Whole screen.
All right.
Hey yo, that's pretty.
Right.
What is that?
Like this is some real estate video that I've been doing.
Nice.
So again, over here, and this is in like in Premiere Pro, right? Effects. There's video effects here. There's audio effects. There's some presets. So some of these have no application whatsoever.
But they're just effects overall in the
yeah, they're pretty much like, it's kind of like, yeah, pretty much like filters that you can play with. But again, they can come in handy again when you're kind of making artsy or kind of you know, an artsier style kind of thing.
Mhm.
Let's see. I think there's like a solar. Right. I mean, so they've got tons of things, right? You can add freaking lens flares. I mean, it gets pretty deep. This is when you kind of get into like CGI, and I mean, this is not anything close to CGI, but like, you know, this is when you kind of get into elements where, again, it's going to take a little more time if you start kind of diving into these things, but some of them can add a cool effect to your video, right?
Hmm. And I'm sure even some of the entry level apps like iMovie on your phone or something like that will have something like this, right?
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of comes back to like the TikTok thing too, right?
Mhm. Oh, that yeah, exactly. I
like
forget that that's
using
like a
those-
legit video editing app now.
Right. Well, like I said, even if you're not editing with it, you know, sometimes like I'll shoot something in it using the filters because they've got some pretty cool filters, right? Where they've got, it looks like film, or they've got old, like, you know, 16 millimeter kind of looking thing. Here, I'll show you guys a video a buddy of mine, he did for me, kind of a behind the scenes video. And he's kind of, and these are, you can kind of see the filters that he's using to kind of give it like an old timey feel.
Mhm. Oh my gosh.
So you can tell like all these like red and green kind of like, you know, flurry of color as it changes from one shot to another. You know, these are basically like the presets that he's using. Like, it makes it look like there's like light leaks or like the sun. You could tell like the overall color is different, right? It's a lot oranger, it's a lot like warmer, kind of has like a grain to it. This is what I mean by some of the presets.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Whoa.
But you guys get the hint, right? Or
Damn.
do you wanna
Yeah,
see the
actually,
rest?
what's it called? Somebody who's on mobile right now just asked, Jonathan asked, do you use color tone to maintain a mood in the whole quote unquote movie? Or I guess in your shot.
Yeah.
creation?
Yeah, I think so. I think what he did was he, you know, he shot everything at one color temperature or one kind of white balance. And then when he brought it into post, he ended up going, you know, adding the filter and then kind of manipulating those colors. I did include, I think we're still screen sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. I did include in the last one, where did I put it? Oh, there's a couple slides back when I talk about colored lighting, but I included a link here that talks about color grading. And that kind of that's applies to like the post process and editing process where, you know, people can add like colors in the highlights and the shadows and basically give it kind of like this very color themed look, if that makes sense. Let's see. I'm like, sorry, I'm trying to condense this all into a digestible form.
It is a lot.
It is a lot.
So,
And it's
yeah.
definitely more than we all probably need to think about at this point. But,
But it's a good demo. I mean, these are all things to think about when this weekend we're all trying to do this really quickly. These are all things to think about, maybe consider before even jumping into it in the pre-planning stage. So when you guys are first dropped into your groups, that we start thinking about those kinds of things beforehand. And so that way, as soon as we get into our groups, we just put it down on paper, we start planning it, and then we jump into it. So we're almost doing everything concurrently and parallel at the same time instead of one thing after another, right?
exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Damn,
So,
man.
I'll come back to again, I guess just application of color and the importance of it, right? This is like something just kind of recent that I'm working on myself, but go back to shared screen. The power that images can kind of tell when you're using that color wheel, how, some colors basically when paired with others give you like a different feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same as music, certain, a major chord is going to give you a lot different feeling than a minor chord. And so kind of using colors can definitely help to enhance that experience and enhance that act of storytelling, right?
Yeah.
I think in essence, like one of the key ones, right, is like there's, complementary and there's monochromatic and whatnot, but, even just the juxtaposition of like a red dress versus against green, right? It makes it pop. It kind of draws your eye to what you are wanting it to be drawn to. Same thing with these ones, like a red and a blue, right? It just something about the way that they work together, adds the element. I think here's another one I did for like a video shoot. Again, it's like using magenta and blue. Oh, my internet. I don't know if my internet wants to load though.
Yep.
You probably got better internet than me.
Your own photos are too powerful.
Apparently.
Oh, anyways. Oh no.
Anyway, there we go. Right. So using elements of like the magenta on one side and then the blue. And then I had one more light that was in front of her that was kind of like giving just a normal kind of white, little bit warm kind of color on her face, right? So she's not in total color herself.
Yeah. Is there a reason why, and I've seen that happen beforehand, where people put a colored light just on one side?
Again, it kind of comes back to taste, and it comes back to
artistic liberty.
Artistic liberty, yeah. I mean, or it might be even just how many. Maybe they only had one light source available, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely like takes a little bit of creativity and ingenuity using what you have, but then again, if you kind of already start to learn and know like how different colors react, just like how how like a specific scale functions over a chord or something, right? Like it's gonna totally have a different sound when you're doing like a solo or something, So all of these elements again can be applied into the editing and the post-editing process. And I will I'll include some examples in the presentation, just because I know I'm not really giving the greatest examples right now, but
yeah, that's awesome, man. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, what so much information.
Yeah, it's probably a little much, but
again. No, that's each of the info sessions have been like that. How are you guys feeling after 3 days of just info download? You guys feel more ready for this weekend now? More or less. We see some very tired yeses and thumbs up, so that's good. There we go. And some ninja moves from Emilio. That's huge. Cool. I wish we had some more time for questions, but I think it was actually better we got more info drain right now, and we just went past 7 o'clock. So I think we'll try to wrap it up right now and just say huge thank you to James for coming and delivering the largest terabyte download of knowledge of all of the movie making or filmmaking process or cinematography, visuals, creating visuals, just downloading all that information in an hour and some change with us. So thank you. Big thanks. Yeah, we're getting some, if you're seeing the chat, it's going up right now. Tons of helpful concepts we can go through on our own. We will provide the presentation, and James can also update the presentation. It's a Google Slides. So as James updates some more info or here and there or whatever, you'll have the most up-to-date stuff. And hopefully James will also hang out a little bit on the Discord, and you can, if you guys have more questions, you can either put them in the Discord and I'll forward them to him, or he might be able to jump in a little bit later. I think only for a couple days, because he's got some big gigs this weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Friday and Saturday, but
yeah,
I appreciate you guys having me on, and again, I'll be there on Sunday, but I'd also love to extend my information after this. You know, if you guys ever have any kind of video or, you know, photo or just any kind of production questions or needs, I'm definitely an open book and willing to kind of work with you and help out in any way that I can. So
yeah.
This will hopefully not be the end of it, you know.
Yes, hopefully. Yeah, we have some pretty cool ideas and plans, and just like how Edge and EOI Records are kind of pulling people from ears to help out, you know, I know we're working with James to kind of figure out the same kind of a system to see if we can get people to help him out with a lot of the gigs that he's got. He's a busy guy, got a lot of different gigs, and he needs a lot of help, a lot of helpers. So the more you guys can practice on your own and get better, I'm sure that it'll be a very compelling option to jump on with him on a future gig or something. But yeah, first steps first. Let's make some good stuff this weekend and get some practice in. So one more time, big thanks to James. Big round of virtual applause that we can give to him. And we look forward to seeing him again on Sunday, when he's going to give everybody, he's going to write down some individual feedback for all the different groups. And then you guys will have some individual feedback right after on Sunday. We're giving him work, more work to do. Awesome. Cool. If you guys have any questions, throw them up on the Discord. I'll forward them to James, and then we'll get you answered through a DM or something like that. Alrighty. Awesome.
Thanks,
you guys.
everybody.
Thank you so much, James. Thanks everybody for coming and sticking around through the whole thing. Appreciate you all. We'll see you soon, and we'll see you tomorrow, 5:30, same time. Hit the Discord for more up-to-date information. Check out our Instagram and the Discord just for update information. Join the Discord, yes, please. And we'll see you guys tomorrow, 5:30. And after that, we have a game night from the EAR student group that is going to host all the participants in the game night. So, all right, guys. Thank you, James. We'll see you guys. Have a good night. Good night. Good night.